Have you ever wanted to work with me one-to-one, but you've been waiting for the right time to do it? If so, now is the time. From now until the end of the year, I have only 20 VIP spots left. That's 20 spots total across all of our adult and pediatric VIP packages. And once they're gone, they're gone. When you join VIP, you get a slew of benefits like all of your labs picked and analyzed by me, a customized health plan based on your unique health history and lab results, one-to-one calls, private coaching, and personalized protocols, and group coaching access for 12 full months. Plus, when you join in August, you're going to get a bonus one-to-one call with me called Salvage Your Supplement Graveyard, a $500 value for free. We'll go through your supplement cabinet, figure out what to toss, what to keep, and how to strategically use what you already have. To grab your spot, head to betterbellytherapies.com/VIP. There you'll find a downloadable VIP guide explaining exactly how VIP works, our FAQ library with questions answered live by me, over a dozen client testimonials, a link to our free 20-minute application call, a payment plan and painful options, and links to claim your spot now and get started on healing today. Just go to betterbellytherapies.com/VIP or click the link in the show notes to get started. If you've been struggling with bloating after eating, persistent stomach aches, or weird food reactions that no one seems to understand, then this episode is for you. In today's episode, I'm talking with my client Sarah, who lived with daily bloating, fatigue, and a stomach ache for over 20 years. Doctors gave her diagnoses like GERD, slow emptying stomach, and lymphocytic colitis, but no real solutions. She tried cutting out gluten, sugar, alcohol, and even done a low histamine diet, plus working with dozens of practitioners, yet nothing brought lasting relief until she found the Better Belly Blueprint. In just 6 weeks, her bloating, fatigue, and stomach pain were gone. She has energy, she's hungry, and she has answers for the first time in decades. So if you've ever wondered, what are the real causes behind my bloating and stomach aches? Will I be stuck on an annoying diet like the low histamine diet for forever? Or if you've wondered how to actually get bloating relief that lasts, then this episode is your next step toward real relief. Let's dive in. Hey friend, welcome to the Better Belly Podcast. If you're currently trying endless supplements, doctor visits, and diet changes to heal your mystery symptoms, you are in the right place. We're here to solve the real root causes behind your gut, hormones, skin, sleep, and brain concerns. Literally anything and everything in your body. My name is Allison Jordan. I'm a functional medicine practitioner that has supported over 150 clients just like you to heal problems that no one has been able to fix. You don't need a perfect diet or a random supplement you found on Instagram to heal. You need a proven system that heals your whole body from the inside out. That's what I'm here to share with you, episode by episode. It's time to make health easy again. And just as a reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your own health practitioner before you make any changes to your health. All right, guys, I am so excited to today welcome onto the podcast Sarah, one of our clients from the Better Belly Blueprint, because today Sarah's going to share her amazing results that she's been getting inside of the Better Belly Blueprint. She's been so generous to come on and share it with all y'all with her time and taking time out of her day to do so. So Sarah, thank you so much for coming on to the Better Belly podcast to come and encourage other women just like you who are roughing it in their health.
Oh, you're welcome. I am super excited to be here. I feel like this has been a great journey so far.
Well, I'm excited. Let's talk about that journey. How about let's start with, before working with us in the Better Belly Blueprint, update our listeners. What were some of the top symptoms you had going on in your body?
So I've had digestive issues since I was two. And so I've really been struggling in the last probably 10 years. Things have gotten pretty worse. They've just gotten pretty bad, a lot worse than they originally were. And so bloating is one of my biggest ones. stomach ache is huge. I've had a stomach ache for the last 20 years. Um, I have GERD, I have lymphocytic colitis. They say I have a slow emptying stomach. Um, I had a lot of trouble more recently with being able to digest sugar and alcohol. I noticed those two were really bad for me. Anytime I'd have something a little bit sweet, it would really, yeah, all the symptoms got worse. Alcohol really made things worse. So these were things that I was trying to avoid. I was getting headaches more. Um, I had lost my sense of smell. And not sure, I'm not exactly sure why. It wasn't COVID. It could have been related to a sinus infection that I had, um, but sense of smell, when it did come back, pretty skewed. So things didn't smell quite the way they used to. Still don't, and that's been a couple years now. Um, and then, it's just general digestion, I would say is it's been my biggest thing. I also struggle with psoriasis, nail psoriasis, and was recently diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis.
So
So, but
you've got stuff. You got options.
yeah,
More options
yeah,
than most people want.
unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, and there were a lot of things that I thought were wrong. I've been gluten free. Actually, I knew it was wheat and not particularly gluten that bothered me. I've been off of wheat for the last 20 years. I knew that was an issue for me. Um, but the bloating, the stomach aches, like I said, it's been 20 years of stomach aches. And I never got hungry. I mean, never. I was never hungry. Maybe like once a week I'd be like, "Oh, I'm excited about dinner. I'm hungry." But for most of the time I was not hungry. So,
Mm. So, and for anybody who's been listening to this podcast for a while, they might realize that that's a common set of symptoms: lack of appetite, reactivity to foods, and then the whole list of diagnoses that doctors give that kind of make you feel like, were you one of our clients by any chance that like emailed us and said, we get this slow emptying stomach question a lot in our email specifically? Like, I have a slow emptying stomach. Can you actually help me? Did you happen to be like someone who would have emailed us before you joined? Okay, because that, you
no.
get these diagnoses and people just feel like that's just who I am. I'm just stuck this way. I don't know. Did you feel that? Does that resonate?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I was diagnosed with that when I was in my early 20s. I am now 47. And so we're talking about 20 plus years of being diagnosed with a slow emptying stomach. And that was medically diagnosed. They did the whole test with the
Right.
dye and all that.
Barium.
So,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So I knew that. And then more recently was the lymphocytic colitis, and the psoriatic arthritis.
Wow.
But the
Wow.
GERD has been there for years. All the others has been years.
Did you know, Sarah, that have you ever heard me say that our average number of years someone's been sick and trying to heal is 10 years? That's the
Mm.
average, right? And like we have plenty
Yeah.
of people who are above 10 years, right? So you imagine people when they come into a program like this, most like 99% of people are not like, this is the first thing I tried and I feel really hopeful. Like, I think this is going to be easy, guys.
Right, yeah.
Right, right. So can you actually update us? You shared one thing already. Like, what were you trying? What types of things did you try before you had gotten to the Better Belly Blueprint? You mentioned wheat free. What else?
Oh, Allison, I've tried everything. I've tried digestive enzymes. I take Miralax regularly, L-glutamine. Actually, so how I found you, maybe that's interesting to some people, is that I work with a FEM practitioner out of Grand Rapids. And she said, your symptoms with your my symptoms would increase around the time I would ovulate and menstruate. So she said, "Hey, these similarities in symptoms during these two periods, um, point at a histamine intolerance. And she said, I'd like for you to, and she sent me a link to one of your podcasts about histamine intolerance. And I listened to that, and I, the same day, signed up for Better Bellies because I
Oh,
was like, oh my God, she might have answers. And it really, I mean, I got so excited. I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I was like, you're never going to believe this. I was like, my FIM practitioner thinks I have a histamine intolerance. And guess what? That's not, I don't have to do this crazy diet because what I had started doing was trying to eliminate histamine foods, high
okay, you're on.
histamine foods.
Yeah. So
So,
you're at least
and
on
I'm,
some type of low histamine diet or a moderate,
yeah,
moderate low.
but that diet is crazy, Allison.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah. Yes.
there's no way to hold on to that. And you said that. You said you can't, you, you don't really want to do this diet for the rest of your life. And I was like, no, I don't. You're
And it
right.
doesn't fix anything. It doesn't fix anything. And for our listeners, if you're like, oh my gosh, that's me, histamine, or you're looking into it, I'm going to link in the show notes that episode that you're talking about, Sarah. So,
It's, I, I, I mean, I was sitting there talking to your podcast, like, yes, no, I don't want to. Allison, you're right. So yeah, that's kind of, that was how I found you. And, I
yeah,
forgot
so
what the
you were working
question
with a
was
femme
halfway through.
practitioner.
Yes,
Yeah, which
yes. So I
isn't
work.
bad. Like, we've had a femme practitioner on the podcast. They can really help give you ideas or help you make understand certain things, but you can only work with your cycle so much if you also have copper toxicity or you also have a histamine issue. And she knew that. So the good news is, ideally we work with practitioners who understand like where their scope of practice ends and
Right.
they then know who to refer to when that help is helpful. I would love to dig into then how update our listeners. How long have you been in the Better Belly Blueprint?
So I looked back. Early May was when I originally signed up, and I had a really crazy summer. Just work was kind of crazy for me for a while, and so I was kind of like fitting in tests where I could, trying to watch your videos when I could, trying to start the protocols as I could, and so I would say that I mean. Um, Really, that that's since May, so May, June, July. So 3 months, but I wouldn't say it's really been 3 months. I would say it's been
Yeah.
like a month and a half that I've really been able to
Had all
focus
your
on the
labs.
program. I just got back the heavy metals lab last week,
Okay. All
or
right.
actually, it was this week. Yeah. And I just got back the oat test this week. I was kind of borderline on whether or not I was going to take the oat test, and I'm glad I did. I was one of those that said, I just really want more information. Why not? It's available,
Yeah.
so let's do it.
Yes.
And I actually asked your staff to help me order the additional Zoomer tests for eggs, soy, and
Oh
nuts.
yeah. Yep. Yep.
Uh, So
Now I'm really
it's there's
curious.
mm,
I'm looking at yours right now. I mean, this is not a lab review, but I like looking
right.
at people's labs as they're talking because you just see this night and day difference that the information started making a difference. And actually, to back up, you didn't even have all the labs that you were indicated for or that you'd even ordered, and you're already seeing results. Can you tell us about that? Like, what's the changes you've? I mean, let's say like you've only been max maybe doing like a digging into stuff like 6 weeks or like one and a
Yeah.
half months.
Yes.
What have you
Absolutely.
already seen?
Really, since so I got back my Zoomer and my GI the second week of July. And I was in the middle of a huge event for my work. And I'm like trying to read it on my phone on the airplane. I was so excited to see this information, right? Um, so the biggest thing for me has been the Zoomer. It has been absolutely life changing, Allison. And when you sent out, let's see if anybody has any big things that have changed. I've only watched through Protocols 5, so I haven't started Protocol 6 videos at all. Um, but the GI map and the Zoomer. information was crazy to me. I, I, like I said, I've already cut out wheat for the last 20 years, but things like rice, corn, I was suspicious of dairy, but never had enough, like, this is absolutely it to cut it out completely. But corn, dairy, potatoes, rice, and there were days I think about it, and it makes so much sense that I've had a stomach ache for 20 years because how do you, I mean, you think rice is good for you. You think corn is good for you. You think potatoes should be okay. And I mean, on a night when I thought, oh, I'm really doing myself a favor, we had, baked chicken with rice and vegetables. How could that make my stomach hurt? And it did. But how could that be? And it's the rice. Rice is not meant for me. And, you know, so my husband is very strict to Western medicine. He thinks anything outside of it couldn't possibly work, couldn't possibly something I should do. And he thinks, he was like, well, this is all nonsense. He's like, you should go get a second opinion. I'm like, who's gonna give me a second opinion on this Zoomer? Like it's all written out. Like it makes sense. And so
You
I
should listen to our Zoomer episode. I'm going to link it in the show notes. I don't know if it would
it's
motivate. I don't know if it actually persuade him, but I think it's an awesome episode.
I did too. I thought it was an awesome episode because it made so much sense once I cut out those red and yellow foods. I haven't had a stomach ache in 2 weeks.
Girl, get it. So you're
I
sleeping
know.
better. Hey, how do you feel? Is your appetite different yet?
Yes, I get
Okay.
hungry.
You get hungry. Okay.
I get
Yes. We
hungry.
see that a lot. That is
Yeah,
exciting.
I've been getting hungry. My stomach doesn't hurt. I've noticed my face, my skin looks nicer. Like look, I'm kind of glowy. Like this is
Right.
awesome.
Shaving off some years. This is great.
I I told my trainer, I said, "Oh my gosh, I had so much energy for this workout. Like I'm ready to go again. Like give me another round." I mean, it just has I can't tell you how life-changing that change has been to cut out those foods that the Zoomer said wasn't meant for me. And I was just actually right before our call, I was down in my pantry cleaning out all of my gluten-free rice pasta because
Yeah.
gluten-free rice pasta is not meant for me. And so I'm cleaning all that stuff out. And I mean, you know what? Chickpea pasta is going to be just fine. I'm okay with that. And my husband, I'll say, he's like, "Can you eat that now?" And I'm like, "No, I can't eat that anymore." And he's like, "Well, that's sad." And I said, "No. You know what's sad? Is having 47 years of not knowing what makes me sick." I said, "That is sad. But right now is not sad. Right
Mm.
now is I have answers that are making me feel better. And I have more energy. I feel better. My stomach doesn't hurt. All these things. That's not sad. That's joyful. That's the greatest gift I've ever been given, to be honest with you."
Sarah, I feel like you should be a motivational speaker. What is your job? you, I mean, this is, you are, I mean, that is how I feel. And I think that there can be days that you are like when I had to transition away from rice and corn, and not all of our clients have to, but it's a more common story than is being talked about these days, that rice and corn is on the up in being kind of a root driver for people's inflammation and symptoms. More on that on another episode on why that is. But the fact is, it is. And yes, there are days that I've been like frustrated or like, oh, I have to go out of my way, or like I missed that thing XYZ. But for the most part, I'm mostly just happy that I can get pregnant and stay pregnant, that I don't hurt all the time, that I have better energy. And I think that not everybody does have a different story. We have clients who change their diet, and that's not where they get they don't get as big of relief immediately, but it is a part of their story. And I'm actually really curious, had you ever done a food sensitivity test before the Zoomer? Because that's another common thing too. Okay, we got the nod going. Tell us about that.
Lots. Lots of
Lots? You were in the
them.
lots category?
I was in the, like all those MRTs that they offer that you can take at home. I did. And of course, none of them ever came back with rice, corn, potatoes,
Right.
dairy.
Yeah.
They, no.
It's a totally different type of test than the Zoomer. Again, if people are like, what is she talking about? We're going to put our Zoomer episode in the podcast, and you're going to learn about temporary versus permanent food sensitivity, or whole food versus protein peptide. And the protein peptide is what the Zoomer does, and whole food is pretty much everyone else. Like Viome, Tiny Health, MRT, and it means your results are going to change every time you do it,
Yeah.
and which is mind numbing. And then it can actually miss foods that you're actually sensitive to. And I don't, have you heard me talk about this, Sarah? I just want to do it for our listeners, but that when we do a test like the MRT or a whole food sensitivity test, it is testing just one part of our immune system. Kind of like if you went to the FBI and you said, were there any car accidents in my city today? And they'd be like, we don't know. Like, no, it's fine. Like, why would we care? And so you would come back and say, we don't have a car accident issue in our city. But if you go to the local police and ask them, do we have a car accident issue in the city? And they'd be like, yes, we do. We had 500 today. Because you're asking the wrong part of the immune system for information. And so that's why the MRT didn't tell you that rice and corn were an issue, because we were asking the wrong part of the immune system. Is it a relevant part? Yes. Is whole food sensitivity testing, does it have its place? Yes. But if you miss protein peptide testing, you are missing an entire part of the immune system and thinking that you're okay.
Yeah. It's, I have no words for like how this made such a big difference in my life. Like, I mean, my husband's like, why would you cut out all those foods? And as soon as I did it, I felt better. And it's been amazing. I really, like I said, there would have been no way for me, Allison, to figure out that rice, corn, potatoes, wheat. I mean, like all these things. At some point, I would have had one of those. To cut all of them out it's a big lifestyle change. And so I think to have tried that on my own, I wouldn't have.
It'd be
And the
depressing. Yeah.
oh yeah, and the reintroduction of trying each of them and things
Takes
like
so
that,
long.
I would have never figured all this out. And with one test, I was able to know so much information about myself that it really was a help to me.
And you're not even done. Like, you still have other
Oh gosh, no.
protocols to integrate. And honestly, I would love to, if you're open to it, I would love to have you on the podcast another like 3 to 6 months when you've gotten more under your belt to see what's changed. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
like you get the bulk of your healing in the beginning, but sometimes I have clients who are like, I feel like I'm already all healed. I'm like, well, just keep going. And then they get to the 3 months from now and you're like, I didn't even know life could be this good, you know? Beth's
Yeah.
like, or Sarah, you're like, my mind's being blown.
Yeah, it is. I'm really excited about that. And yes, I have no and I have to say, um for people out there that haven't joined the Better Bellies and that are considering it, it it is different, and it is something to think about. Of this is going to be outside your normal box. This is not your going to your doctor's office and getting thyroid medicine or blood pressure medicine or whatever. It really is outside our normal box. And so you have to kind of take a step back and say, I'm going to really see where this leads me and how this can help me. Because it is different, and it is something that, like, if you're not used to stepping outside the box medically, it's something that can be a little jarring. And I remember that being one of your questions, was that, like, yeah, I was a little anxious about it. And it was really nice to be able to go into full script, where you have all of our supplements listed, and to say, okay, these are supplements that she's vetted for me, right? I don't have to go and figure out, what's the best vitamin D out there, or whatever supplement it is
And
that,
we don't even do vitamin D.
right, right.
Joke's on you. No,
But be,
anyways.
right, right. But you know what I'm saying
Yes,
is that,
yes.
all of these supplements you've already vetted for us, and we know that they're trustworthy, and we can go in there and we can order those and be on the path to healing. It's not another step that I have to figure out. And so that for me also was a big thing of
Mm.
even just starting the liver protocol at the very beginning of ordering some things. And, there was I wasn't nervous about it as a result because I knew that these were supplements that I could trust.
Right. You could just click a button and order it with 10% off, and it
Right.
comes in the right dose, the right brand, everything that we've found has been really helpful for our
Right.
clients. Like, really, I still buy all the things that are in the liver protocol. It's like my favorite protocol we have. I mean, all the other ones, I've done the parasite protocol. It's great. And you're going to too. So,
Yes.
you're going to experience the wonder and joy of that protocol, which is basically just about feeling better. I am really curious, speaking of feeling better, I actually like that your answer might be no to some of this, to this question, but do you have other, or maybe I guess your answer might be yes, rather. Do you have other symptoms right now that you listed? Like you listed GERD, slow emptying stomach, headaches, loss of sense and smell. Are some of those symptoms still present for you?
Yeah. The smell definitely is. My headaches are still sometimes.
Okay, but they're
Um,
less.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. They're less. And, I haven't noticed, honestly, I haven't noticed any bloating. I did get a little dairy I was on a trip and got a little dairy in my meal on Sunday night, and that stomach ache lasted about 24 hours. So it was kind of confirmation of knowing what had caused it. So that was sort of a mixed positive there.
I mean,
But yeah, so
yeah.
some of my symptoms, yes, still exist, and I don't plan to slow down on following the protocols, and I'm headed towards, like you said, all those extra pieces that are coming at me. But and I'm still superwoman in adding in my some of my supplements from just the nutrients that we're working on. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I like to ask that question, especially when someone's only like 1 to 3 months into the program, because I think that it's good to see that we can interview somebody who's not even done and they're getting some results. Maybe it's not the whole picture, but that there's things we can celebrate even if the whole picture isn't fixed. And again, everybody's journey is different. I've had some clients who seems like their symptoms don't budge until month 5, and then there's a huge breakthrough. Or sometimes the symptoms that get better when they first start are not the ones they care about. Like if your stomach ache was the one you cared about the most, which you kind of mentioned it a lot, and it was the last thing to improve, it doesn't mean that you're still not getting better along the way. But all that being said, it's just it all happens in layers. And so we don't have to get all better all at once, and we can kind of celebrate and see it in stages. And so that's why I was really excited that you were even willing to come on, because we don't want to discount, like in that 1 to 3 month, there's still a lot of beautiful things going on, and it'll be even cooler, 3 months from now.
yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing.
So, Sarah, to finish out this conversation, if you could share one thing to encourage a woman who's listening to this podcast right now regarding her health, what would it be?
Trust Allison. I would say that you should join Better Bellies and trust Allison. And like you said, your journey might be different than mine, but I think the things that I've seen so far in watching the first 5 modules and doing the tests and starting some of the supplements is that I feel like there's hope for the first time.
Mm.
And like I said, my first diagnosis was early 20s of the slow emptying stomach. I knew I had had digestive issues since I was very, very young. Um, Probably the 80s and white bread didn't help us at all, but but in all seriousness, I feel like there's hope for the first time. And most of my things, doctors have been like, "We have lymphocytic colitis." Well, there's not really anything to do for that, right? Like, so you're just gonna have IBD for the rest of your life, and you're gonna have to deal with the fact that like you should probably take some digestive enzymes, and you should take some Miralax, and some things like this. Is that um, Western medicine didn't really have any answers for me. And so, you know, try, right? You don't know until you try. And so I think just giving Allison the chance to help you, I think would be, I'm glad I did, is what I'll say. And like you said, I'm at the very beginning of this journey. So I'm glad I trusted you, Allison, and I will continue my journey with you. And I'm excited about the hope that lies in the future of this.
Oh, Sarah, that means so much. I mean, yeah,
True.
I can't believe that was your answer. And I take that super, like, I do not take that lightly. And we are aiming in everything we've done in our program to make the pricing as accessible as possible, because we know functional medicine isn't cheap. But there are things that people are constantly being nickeled and dimed on that we're not doing in our program. I don't even know if you know that we get our labs at near wholesale pricing, all these things. And so, to make it more accessible and help people heal. And so it's such an honor to hear you endorse us like that. I mean, clearly you're having a good testimonial, but
Yeah.
we want to be trustworthy. And that is our goal, is to take great care in people's health and get people as good and healed as we can. So, well, thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on to the Better Belly podcast. I hope we get to chat with
Thank
you
you,
again in
Allison.
like 3 to 6 months here,
Sure.
maybe. See what
Yeah,
happens. Party.
that'd be awesome.